Hello, everybody, and welcome to another My Music. If you can hear a little bit of scraping in the background, that's my dog who's only just had his paws cut, working his way across the floor, which is a common thing that happens in everybody's homes, but not necessarily in every podcast studio. There you go. Well, we try and aim to be different here. Today, I'm going to be speaking to the wonderful Charlotte. Thank you for joining me. Charlotte Carpenter. What a great name. You got a lovely bit of alliteration in there. Is that your real name?
That is my real name. Yeah.
Wow.
My parents did me a good one with that one.
A good turn. Yeah. Absolutely. Because you'd think that had come straight out of the book of names for a musician. We will be talking to Charlotte and finding out more about her name, the guitars that she has on her wall, and more importantly, her music, straight after this.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
There you go. Thanks for joining me. Now, today's a good day to be joining me because you have new music on its way out at the moment.
I do, yeah. It's new recordings of stuff that's already come out. So I released my debut album, A Modern Rage, last year, and to celebrate a year of its release, I decided to do a live and solo EP celebrating the album and just giving people something else to listen to. All that stuff we've got to do these days. I thought I'd kind of give back really to the people that have supported me for years and years and years. So this is really more for them than it is for me.
Oh, that's lovely. Now, what can people expect from that? Have you done anything in terms of the musicality of it to make it completely different from what went out before?
I mean, the versions of these songs on the record they're fully produced. Do you know what I mean? We've got like a whole band playing, and they have been they've been produced. And then the versions on this EP are live and solo, so back to its bare bones of how it was written, really, because most of the songs on the album were written just from me and a guitar. And then we kind of build on it from them. But so when I play solo shows without the band, people get to hear that side of the album anyway, which I hadn't really done. I hadn't really let anybody hear kind of the bare bones of this stuff. So yeah, recognizable for sure. Everything is still the same. It's just me and a guitar, and leaving it all a bit more exposed.
Yeah, was that frightening?
It wasn't, because I've played solo for many years,
but that's songs, live. But then when you commit that to the needle, as it were, it's kind of like it's out there, and I mean, it's the thing is, I always felt when I played live, it's like you don't quite hit something quite right or whatever. It's gone in a second, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I did have to obviously put the time in to get these songs sounding good, because I wanted it to be as live and as raw as possible. So that does always come like with a little bit of nerves beforehand. But I was in a space that I really trust, and was working with an engineer again that I really trust. So I knew that whatever was going to happen, we would do everything possible to make those moments sound good, kind of just move on. But yeah, I think they sound really warm and inviting, and I really hope that people feel that way as well.
Yeah. How are you feeling about Rage right now?
Rage,
so I think Rage, it's a very strong word, isn't it? Rage.
I think my own perspective on rage changes depending on what mood I'm in. But one of the things I've had to really work on is to not be ashamed of my own rage, and not to hide it or bury it under something else. And you know, when I was writing the album, I was thinking a lot about the things that were making me feel uncomfortable at the time, and that feeling of uncomfort, my natural reaction to anything uncomfortable is to cry.
Right.
And that's kind of the way that I control my anger. And I started to think, well, that's okay. That's like my default, but I actually feel really angry and I don't know what to do with it, So that's kind of where.
Do you sometimes wish you could just be more angry then than cry?
I do, actually. I wish that I didn't feel as if I had to suppress my anger. I think that's an issue that a lot of us have, especially women and especially British people. I think I think that whole keep calm and carry on generation has affected us far more than what we think it has. I don't think it's healthy, basically.
I don't know whether it helps in relationships either.
Yeah.
I think we've rightly, obviously we've had so much televised about sort of domestic violence and abuse and abusive relationships and things like that, which is absolutely right. But I sometimes think, like everything in life, that sometimes swings the pendulum a little bit too far the other way in people's heads, and then they kind of almost feel like it's not a great relationship unless you're just appeasing the other person completely and agreeing or just walking away.
I think I definitely agree with that. I think it's a little bit unfair to compare that feeling to domestic violence. But I do.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is it comes from that, doesn't it? It comes from what happens in society is that we especially now is we put so much on the TV or on social media about the extremity of something that it ends up almost dumbing down people just being true with their emotions.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a problem that I've noticed in myself as I grew up, and the people that I was working with at a very young age, what they were, the kind of stuff that they were saying to me, and I think for a lot of us, especially young girls, we're told to be, kind and nice and appropriate and all them things. And I think as lovely as those things are and those characteristics are in a person, like if you're constantly telling young girls to be that way, they're not really then feeling open or comfortable to exploring all these other emotions that can be explored, in a safe way. And rage and anger, like they're not necessarily like bad things if they can be expressed in a way which is safe and healthy. And I don't think young girls can explore that much without being penalized for it. And I really started to notice that in my own behavior as an adult, just like avoiding confrontation and choosing to be nice rather than speaking up. And I was kind of approaching my 30s thinking, like, why do I have this horrible tight chest? And like what is it? Why do I feel held back? And that's one of the things I started to explore when I was writing the album, and just exploring like as a human being really in everyday life.
It's fascinating. What I always find interesting is because I have conversations all day long, and I record those conversations for different podcasts, as I was saying to you just before we started. And literally earlier today, I had a conversation with a couple of people that work in the neurodiversity space, educating corporates, etc., and trying to get the message of awareness and change out there as well. And we went on to the subject of social media, and I don't know whether you see this as well, but the whole idea of sort of like blocking and creating a bubble around yourself even on social media, where people like just cancel people out when they disagree with them. So that actually you just create an echo chamber around you of people that just feed back. We were talking about that. That is very prevalent and very dangerous. where actually it's almost seen like sometimes if someone's dares on somebody's post to, if someone's saying something and they just question it, not nastily, but they just question it, you can get the hordes all coming in going, well, why are you asking that question? Duh. But actually, why shouldn't people challenge people on stuff? And, as long as it's done respectfully, it's, but it's almost like one of the tactics that people use now on things like social media is just to go, well, that person's disagreeing with me. I'm just going to block them. I'm going to take them out of the equation so that actually I just retain around me a voice. But that's dangerous. That's very dangerous.
Yeah, it is. And I am totally with you. Like, you can very easily become a part of your own echo chamber. And I think these sorts of conversations they have so much nuance because, there have definitely been times in my life where I've felt as if I needed to like filter out people, or, if, for example, on social media, there'll be maybe people or accounts that I've followed through the years, and for whatever reason, they are making me feel a certain way. It could be uncomfortable, it could be sad, it could be frustrated, it could be jealous, it could be anything. That's what social media brings up, the worst in all of us. And it can be very difficult to maintain a healthy relationship with social media without feeling the need to block someone for a bit, or take them away from your timeline for a bit. And I think it's good to listen to yourself and your own mental health and think, okay, this isn't serving me at the moment, or this person's views are making me feel uncomfortable. But I don't think the conversation should end there. You should always sort of be like, okay, well, why is this making me feel this way? Will exploring that reason make it all a little bit easier to digest? I think this weekend, actually, I was talking to my wife and I said, oh God, social media is just making me feel so sad at the minute. I just feel so heavy. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, I've got these new songs coming out and now I know it's my job to promote them. I said, but I don't trust these platforms anymore. They're just wanting me to spend money over and over again. And, it's really making me feel sad. I'm not enjoying it. And I knew I just had to take a day off. Do you know what I mean? Don't look at it, whatever it is that's making me feel sad. And, and in all honesty, I was feeling sad because I maybe wasn't getting the same engagement as some of my peers or friends were with their new stuff. And that's such a danger to this, It's awful. It's awful. And that doesn't mean I want to not congratulate my friends or see what they're doing because I'm proud of them. That's more of a question to myself. Well, why do I feel this way? It's not a competition. We're all in this long and twisted, weird journey together. It's social media has a lot to answer for, and I don't think I know anyone who is truly in a peaceful place with it.
I'd say I'm quite in a peaceful place with it, but then that's because I run a social media marketing business. Now, one thing I'd say with that is that I think that pervades not just in the music world, but it pervades in the whole business world as well. There's lots of people out there who will independent, business people or whatever, that will go, oh, why are they getting all of the traction and not me? I'm posting every day. I'm doing this. I'm doing all of the stuff. I think, as a bit of advice, one thing that I would say to you is that one of the things I say to clients, and I think is quite useful in that situation, is to actually sometimes remove yourself from the standard mechanisms, because I think part of the problem is everybody gets told, well, you've got to do this, you've got to do it that way, you've got to do it this way, you've got to do it that way. And actually, what makes it fun again, a bit like music, if you had to, if I said to you tomorrow, your next album has got to be a set of covers of these songs, you'd probably go, oh my God, you know, I don't even like half those songs. Why are you making me do well? Because that's all the songs that people like at the moment. You know, you've got to cover Sabrina Carpenter song just because, right?
Yeah.
Because you got the same name. You know, it's just all of that nonsense. Whereas I think actually, if you can get creative with it again, if you can get playful with it, and it can become, you know, you can go beyond the standard mechanisms and go, do you know what? I'm going to do something with this that I'm going to find fun for me, even if it doesn't work. It's more likely to work. Because actually, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally makes sense. And it's definitely something that does work. Like when I have tried kind of more interesting things, or like a quirky merchandise ideas, for example, or, you know, like interesting tours, it always like lands slightly differently, you know. And yeah, it's great advice, and it totally works. It's just one of those things, like, it can be very tiring to upkeep that same attitude, you know, I've been doing it for a decade, for example, and like me and loads of other artists that have been doing it for as long. It's like every year you're up against a new thing, a new challenge, a new channel, a new something, and you're like, oh, here I am again. It's pretty relentless, but that's, you know, that's, like you said, it's not just music. That's like any business, any creative space. Like, we're up against so much just to be seen, you know, just to have our work shared.
Yeah, it's why I treat like my relationship with my clients as a relationship, as a partnership, as opposed to they're my clients, I write for them, or I create content for them. I see it as like we dive in and do it together. And personally, I think it's, you know, it's in the same vein as why I think musicians tend to work with other musicians, or work with different producers, or you know, different engineers or whatever, because actually when you do it all yourself, that's when it becomes really tiring. But I think actually, if you can share the burden a little bit, even if it is like you say to your wife, you know, come up with something really daft that I need to do on social media and whatever, and like, you know, lighten the load a little bit. I think sometimes that's really cool. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to my wife. She's always helping me out, bless her. I'm like, oh, I need this thing. I need this doing. And I know you're much quicker at it than me. And yeah, she's great.
Now, after Rage comes what? If a reaction, if the next phase of music for you is a reaction to the previous piece of work, right, and the previous piece of work centered around that, what's the reaction?
The reaction that just came to me straight away once you asked that was peace,
right?
Actually, which is something I've actively practiced this year for the first time ever in my adult life. Like, ever since I finished uni at 21 and just like, right, that's it, I'm committing to this, you know, I'm going to be a singer-songwriter and I'm going to play shows and whatever. And every single year was, what's next, next goal, next single, next EP, yada, 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 yada. And I did the album, which I'm extremely proud of, but obviously came with a hell of a lot of work because I'm completely independent. So I did everything myself. And apart from the music, I didn't do that myself. I worked with an amazing producer. But everything else was just me. And when I came to the end of that cycle, I thought, you just need to sit in what you've achieved and let yourself be a person for a bit.
Yeah,
you know.
So yourself... will we get songs of peace? Not necessarily in terms of sort of like the soppy, you know, kind of sentimental kind of songs of peace or whatever, or even Pipes of Peace by, you know, Paul McCartney or whatever. But will you? But in a sense, will there be a kind of sense of peace in the next set of songs, do you think?
I think so, yeah. I think if it's not a sense of peace, even though I do feel very peaceful, it's definitely a sense of knowing and being comfortable with my identity and being comfortable and celebratory of the life that I've built for myself. And, you know, and one of the things I'm working on at the moment is making sure that every single song idea comes from only me, because I'm so used to working with producers at a really early stage in my songs. So I've kind of, one of the things I wanted to do this year was explore my own musical identity a little bit more and find out like what and who that is. So a lot of the time I've been like in this room with my guitars and bass and keys and whatever, and just like throwing stuff at these songs, be like, what, let's just like not think about what it is I think I should be doing, or like hearing the echoes of previous producers in years gone by. What do I actually want on this song? You know, and that is giving me peace, even though the songs aren't necessarily about being peaceful. I feel really at peace, and you know, the songs, they still explore the things that make me question life and the human existence, but I do feel extremely content with just having the freedom and the confidence to finally be like, I don't know what this synth is, but I'm going to put it on there anyway because it sounds good, you know.
So that's you use that word, and that's an interesting word. Do you feel like the next set of songs might sound a bit more confident? Not in a bad way. I don't mean that the songs that you had there before didn't sound confident, but do you think this might sound more confident, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, probably. I think people might be able to tell that I've taken maybe slightly more like risks when it comes to what sounds I'm using, or they can see that I've been like maybe a little bit more daring when it comes to the melodies I'm writing. And, you know, like one of the things I've always felt really passionate about is not boxing myself off into like one genre and just letting the songs speak for themselves. And that's something I'm exploring like even more now than ever. And the album itself was very, very varied. It was anything from like blues rock all the way to like acoustic ballads, and that I've just always enjoyed listening to music that way. And I've done that even more so with the stuff that I'm doing on my own at the minute. Like today I got I downloaded had like a 3-month subscription with the Rolling Cloud on Bandcamp Friday last month, and that opened my mind up to like loads of sounds I've never ever heard in my life. And I just like it was so cool. And I've just spent like all day today because I've got this song idea, and I wanted like the first 8 bars just to be what I describe as like, let's throw the kitchen sink at it. And I'm just like adding stuff and doing all this stuff, and I've got my guitar out and loads of space echo, and it was all a bit mad. And then it comes in like a kitchen sink, and then goes down to like me and a tiny piano. And I just feel so excited to be making these like decisions for myself.
I love that. I think I've mentioned it once on here before, but I mean, something that opened my eyes years and years ago when I, was first making music was back in the day when we didn't have the internet. That's how old I am. It was one of the electronic music magazines, and just reading that, and there were a couple of guys in there talking about they were talking about going to the top of this tall building and throwing watermelons off and recording the sound of these watermelons as they hit the ground. And I was just like completely taken by that. It was like, wow, that can be part of music. And it kind of really opened my eyes to like, well, you know, what can you do? And I think it wasn't long after that a group of us went into a studio, and we just recorded. One of us, he was a drummer. He brought in an accordion because he could play really good accordion, which is still an underrated instrument, folks. do use it more. And we just had like this wonderful piano playing with a little bit of accordion over the top, and then we allowed the window to be open, and there was in the middle of it, by accident, we got this dog barking and sort of howling in the background. It was just brilliant. And it's just suddenly it was like, oh right, so that's what this is all about. We can just capture stuff that doesn't necessarily, we wouldn't have necessarily thought about if we'd stuck to like the members of this group play this and this. Yeah. So I think it's always great when musicians sort of start opening up to sort of sounds and getting a little bit more experimental. What if you could get hold of any instrument that you'd love to have a go at to put on an album, what would that be?
Good question. Okay, well, I won't choose guitars because that's just like a never-ending quest, really. Trying to think of something that I've never put on,
like a dulcimer, or
I've had that sound before. Oh God, what a question. Okay, it would probably, I'm only just going into the world of like keyboards and synths and stuff. So I guess I've been playing around with a plugin for ages and ages, which is a replica of the Juno synth. And I would just love to be able to play one in real life. Actually, that'd be really cool. Like, it's obviously really cool, like with all the plugins and VSTs and stuff you get now. It's amazing. Do you know what I mean? Like, the world is on your computer screen, but I do genuinely think I respond more to
it doesn't
like
feel the
hardware.
same.
Yeah. So I would quite like to get myself into like a weird room of like really old keyboards and stuff and just see what happens. I've never played a Rhodes, actually.
Wow.
I would love a Wurlitzer. I would genuinely love a real Wurlitzer, and I'd love to put it just there. But they're expensive.
They are. Listen, if anyone's listening and they've got one of those in the studio and they'd like to invite Charlotte just in for a day or two just to have a little fiddle with
I would love it. Like, I treated myself to a piano downstairs, and that's completely like changed my songwriting. It just taking myself away from a guitar for a bit has been extremely powerful. And I'd love to like continue that and be like, okay, so what happens when I'm pressing the keys of this weird synth, and it's just a new world. It's great.
Yeah. I love I love the world of all of that as well. It's and the other thing that I think that musicians should try at least once in their lifetime as well is actually recording to tape as opposed to digitally, and just cutting tape up and looping it and messing about with tape, because again, it's so visceral and and
a friend of mine's got one, actually. I'm writing with him next Monday.
There you go.
There you go. He said, he said, I'd love to do something on tape with you. So you never know.
There you go.
It might happen.
There you go. Fantastic. Yeah. So when will we see new music emerging from you?
If I'm being totally honest, I don't know. Is the
That's
answer.
Great. That's fine.
I did the album last year. This year I did the live EP to celebrate, and I've been writing a lot in the background of that and touring the album. And then looking ahead for 2025, I'm about to announce 2 headline shows for April. To again continue celebrating that album.
Do you want to say what those are now, or can't you say what those are now?
Yeah, I can say them now. Let me get my diary up. Okay.
Love that.
April. Right. Okay. I've got Thursday the 3rd of April in London at the Servants Jazz Quarters. And the reason why I picked that venue is because they have a piano. So I'm going to play some piano songs live for the first time in my life. And then Thursday 4th of April, the next day, I'm doing a show in Leicester at the Big Difference, which is like my closest city.
Fantastic.
So yeah, and that's just like continuing celebrating the album, playing new tunes to people. I don't think I'll release anything before that. I think if anything, that's going to be a little bit of a taster of what's to come. But I would like to think by the end of 2025, you know, people are hearing some of the new stuff. I haven't really decided if it's going to be like an album or maybe some singles or an EP for a bit. I haven't really decided, but you know, all I do know is that it feels so good to be writing now and like exploring more of my musical identity. And I'm looking forward to playing some piano as well.
Absolutely. Now, listen, if you're going to make your way to that gig and you're in that area and you're a bit handy, you know, maybe if you're a really good jazz musician or something, just cheekily turn up and start playing trumpet or sax or something.
Yeah,
you know.
Could be pretty good. Bit of an improv.
Yeah, it could be, and you know, that, you might really enjoy that. It might be something that you know, sort of like takes it in a different direction. I love that. I loved it when, you know, I did some club DJing at one point in my career, and it was great when we had like guys just turn up with a trumpet and just play over the top. You know,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was just kind of like sometimes it just feels right. Sometimes it doesn't.
Not last year, year before. No, was it last year? Yeah, it was last year. Me and my wife got married in Portugal, and we had like during like the cocktail bit, we had like this live like record DJ set, which we were really, really passionate about. And all of a sudden, this like saxophone player was there, and we looked at each other. We were like, we didn't book this guy. Like,
love it.
And,
I love that.
And I said, has someone booked a saxophonist without us realizing, like as a gift or a surprise? And she was like, literally don't know anything about it. And I was like, we did not pay for him, but he was great.
See,
he was playing along with the records, so it was cool.
I know. I think when it's spontaneous and it just comes out of the blue like that, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Also, if we tell people that might happen, it means that lots of people will come to the gig, and you know,
with their instruments,
but they will be in the crowd and they will be paying, so it's good. You know,
it's a good idea. I like it.
It's a double whammy. It really is. It really is. Oh, thank you so much. Look half an hour just goes like that.
It does.
You know it.
Very quick.
Absolutely gone. So thank you so much for coming and sharing a little bit of your life in music with me today.
Thank you, Graham.
Before we go, I've got to. I haven't asked this for a while, but you know, I will put right what has been wrong by not asking anybody this. If we could get you any kind of gig playing with any other musician, who would that be?
Well, like anybody.
You can be as abstract in the world, as abstract as you like.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I would love to be a part of the Joni Jam that happens out in America right now. Obviously, it happens in her house, but they're doing some shows at the minute, maybe at the Hollywood Bowl or Red Rocks, one of them. And there's like loads of musicians on stage with Joni Mitchell in the middle, and they're all sitting on armchairs. And even if like I had a tambourine, whatever they want to give me, you know, like a shaker, whatever, if I could just stand next to Joni Mitchell shaking something.
Which song would you really love to do?
Oh wow.
You're going to pick something obscure, or you go for
I love her obscure stuff, but you know, her most well-known songs did shape songwriting altogether. I really do love Both Sides Now.
Yeah.
The original version and the one that she did like many, many years later. So I think I'd probably choose would I think it would be the newest version of Both Sides Now, or even like Big Yellow Taxi.
Mm.
There's loads of cool percussion in Big Yellow Taxi.
I
so
was
maybe
going to
that's where I
say
can come in.
that's a great one for just an egg, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be cool. Yeah, I'd take that. I'd choose that.
And there you go. And it's quite peaceful.
It is.
In a non sickly kind of peaceful kind of place. Well, what a great conversation. Thank you so much, Charlotte.
Thank you so much, Graham. Thank you for inviting me.
This has been the wonderful Charlotte Carpenter, ladies and gentlemen. Please do go and check out her music. In fact, order it because it is available on Bandcamp and on
all the usual places. It's everywhere.
All the usual.
It's everywhere. But if you want the physical version, Bandcamp,
yeah. Well, look, we need to get sales here. That's what we're.
Bandcamp it is.
That's what we're. So pop over to Bandcamp now with your wallet open, or you're probably already connected some kind of streamlined digital payment system to it, and fill your boots. And the first 10 people that do that will maybe get a copy of whatever they order with a kiss from Charlotte on it. You won't know whether it's got a kiss from Charlotte on it or not, because how can you tell?
Assume.
You can assume that it has. There you go.
Definitely. I agree.
At least she's told you that now anyway, and then you can feel like you're part of that. Folks, if you've enjoyed that, that's been my music for another day. If you haven't enjoyed that, then sorry for wasting 36 minutes of your time. Of course, you can get that back. The instructions for that are written on the back of a wax polish canister, which only one is available. It's under your seat in an aeroplane. It's impossible to get it out. But if you do find it amongst the magazine with the crumpled magazine that's next to the orange peel, then please do send off the little form and you can get it back. Until next time, bye for now.